JETS, yikes, yikes, yikes. The New York Jets are just having an abysmal offseason, capped off by some news today about some really big holdouts. We're going to break that down and a lot more in this channel, just about how horrible the New York Jets offseason has been and why that should be great news if you're a fan of any other team in the AFC. If you're new to this channel, this is the Daily Huddle. I'm Ben, along with my friend Aaron and Nate. We keep you up to date on all the latest around the NFL, the NBA, and this summer, the Summer Olympics. So if you like any of those things, helps us out a ton if you would hit that like button and that subscribe button. And let's dive into the news of the day. So there is just a ton of hype around the New York Jets, and we know that, you know, going back all the way to Rex Ryan, like that's been a team that the teams are really hyped on. And if you take a look here, the New York Jets are 25-1 to not just make the playoffs, which they didn't last year, not just to make a run, but to actually win the entire Super Bowl. Notably, teams in their division in the Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills are rated higher and more likely to make the Super Bowl. And we know the Patriots have had a pretty good offseason. That defense was nasty last year, and they're just going to continue to get better. So all of the Jets' hope lies in one man. And I'll admit I'm a Denver Broncos fan, but I fell for all of the hype last year. My favorite show on all of TV is Hard Knocks. And so I was like drinking crazy green Kool-Aid. Like I've just picked up all these dudes to be on my fantasy team last year, and then just 7 seconds into the NFL season, Aaron Rodgers tears his Achilles tendon. Well, not only did Aaron Rodgers tear his Achilles tendon, and all of the Jets' hope is lying in a 40-year-old making a recovery from a catastrophic foot injury that very few have ever bounced back from to be anywhere near their former pinnacle. But Aaron Rodgers also wasn't there today because of an outside commitment that was very important to him. So we know Aaron Rodgers, he's got all these other commitments to like darkness retreats, to hopping on Pat McAfee, to running for vice president with RFK. And so I think this is just bad news, right? That he already has something that he's prioritizing over the game of football. I think that's a big deal, but more than that, even the big deal is like, what is the statistical probability of Aaron Rodgers coming back and being the Aaron Rodgers discount double check that we are used to seeing in Green Bay? Well, it is not too good. That Achilles, it's part of planting. I think Aaron Rodgers is best. I cannot wipe from my memory the times he would be scrambling and throw all those incredible Hail Marys on the Detroit Lions, and his ability to navigate the pocket quickly and then plant and just fling it on a dime was absurd, and it was hard to watch as a non-fan of Rodgers, and I've never liked the teams that he was on. But I think, you know, the bad news for Jets fans and the good news for anyone else in the AFC is that Achilles injuries are very, very, very difficult to come back from for skilled guys. So you look here, they did this giant meta-analysis. Now, my brother is the doctor in the family, so I will leave some of this interpretation of the data to him. But what just really stands out to me is how 293 NFL players entered into this study that they crunched the data on. Some of them didn't need surgery. Of those who did need surgery, they break it down into these categories here. And these are the ones to me that were just crazy. That of the 98 surgeries, 64 of them had the surgeries and returned to the sport. 7 of them had the surgeries and then were out of the NFL within 1 year. I think this is the most likely category we're going to see this year with Aaron Rodgers. And then 27 of them did the surgery intending to go back and play football, and then did not play football because coming back from that surgery was just so difficult. We saw the footage of OTAs last week, which Aaron Rodgers did attend, and you saw him like switching a bandage and almost looking like there was blood on it. That's just not a good sign if you are a fan of the New York Jets, and all of your eggs are in that basket. You drafted Zach Wilson with the number 2 overall draft pick, and then you shipped him off to Denver for like nothing. And then you have surrounded him and given him the coach that he wants. And again, biased little Broncos fan here, but man, Nathaniel Hackett is a clown show of a coach. He ran our team into the ground, and I don't think I'll ever forgive him for it. And evidently, the only reason he has kept jobs in the NFL is because he's Aaron Rodgers' guy. Well, that is fine when you are Aaron Rodgers, the MVP of the league and the most talented person to lace up cleats. But you're now Aaron Rodgers, who's 40 years old, who has the ire of the entire NFL, and everyone's gunning for you for, being immunized and not vaccinated. And we're not getting into all of that, but you're 40 years old and you're coming off of a catastrophic foot injury that almost no one comes back from. And on average, quarterbacks coming back from this throw 5 less touchdowns a year than the year before. And we just haven't seen Aaron Rodgers play meaningful football since December of 2022, which is like, man, I got a 4-year-old who couldn't walk at that point. Like, that was a long, long time ago, especially when you're at the age he is. And the Jets already are over Nathaniel Hackett, so much so that they went out and tried to bring in someone to be over top of him, which is just not a good sign. Obviously, they already see the train coming off the tracks there in New York. And I think what furthers that, speaking of trades with the Denver Broncos, is they have an incredible, talented star, an edge rusher in Jonathan Franklin Meyers, who I just feel like Jets country is it Jets Nation? I don't know what they even call themselves. Jets wrapped up in a green package with a beautiful green bow and just gave him to the Denver Broncos. We were talking a starter, a locker room guy that everyone loved. In the post-draft press conference when Saleh was talking about moving on from him, he looked like he was on the verge of tears about how much he loved Jonathan Franklin Meyers. So they made that trade because the Jets went out and got Haason Reddick, who definitely has a much higher ceiling than Jonathan Franklin Meyers does. But to move on from Jonathan Franklin Meyers for Haason Reddick, he better show up, right? And he better be like ready to come in and ball out of control, because Jonathan Franklin Meyers was a locker room dude that everyone wanted to go to battle for, and they did. Well, guess who is a holdout from Jets camp and is not sticking to what the agreement that he had with the Jets? He had said, hey, I want a long-term deal, but you know what? I'll show up and I'll trust that I'm off the Eagles. I'm in a better situation. This is going to be great for me. And I'll show up. I will be at mandatory OTAs. And Saleh came out and told us all that. He said, hey, he's going to be there. Don't even worry about it. Jonathan Franklin or Haason Reddick is going to be at mandatory OTAs. Well, guess who wasn't at mandatory OTAs? So you now are talking about just so much egg on your face as the head coach of this team being like, hey, we traded a locker room glue guy, but don't worry, we brought in a guy who he'll be here. Don't even worry about it. Well, then that guy doesn't show up. And we're trying to replace our offensive coordinator with someone over him, but no one would take that job, because I think everyone sees the end is in sight. And I think the best hope for the New York Jets is that they finish third in that division. And even then, you could see the Patriots with some talent now and moving on from the Bill Belichick system. You could easily see a world where the New York Jets finish 4th in the AFC. I just think it was a bad day in Jets country, and take a screenshot of it because this could be wrong and we could be way off on here, but we just tell it like it is and like we see it. We hope you love the Daily Huddle. Can't wait to have you here along for the ride, and let's make sure we keep huddling up.